So we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody, it's great to see you. Hope you're staying safe out in the weather. So I think we can start today. Just waiting for my cat to get out of the document camera there. He'll just, yeah, there we go. Before we get started today, let's do a warm-up practice exercise, and that's going to be, please factor this polynomial. It's 5x squared plus 15x plus 10. Give you a minute or two to do that. Okay, after letting you think for a second, and do pull out pencil and paper or pen and paper so you can work with me through today. How can we do this? There's probably a couple different ways. The thing that's maybe a little difficult at the beginning is, well, you've got this 5 out front. On the other hand, you might notice that there's a factor of 5 in every single term. 5, 15 is 3 times 5, 10 is 2 times 5. So what you can do is you can take out that 5 at the beginning and get 5 times x squared plus 3x plus 2. See, 5 times x squared, 5 times 3x is 15x, 5 times 2 is 10. And then you might find it easier to factor this polynomial inside the parentheses. So let's try that. So remember, to factor, we need two numbers that multiply to 2. So my only choices are really going to be 1 and 2, or -1 and -2. And I want them to add up to 3. And so since I want two numbers that add up to 3, that makes me think I should choose 1 and 2. You could have factored this other ways, and if you did, you might have got different answers. So for instance, let's start out again. So maybe you were remembering what we did yesterday, and you said, okay, so I need two numbers that multiply out to 10. And so that's going to be 2 and 5. Like, those are basically your only choices, or maybe 1 and 10. Who knows? Let's start with 5 and 2, and if we need to, we can just redo it. And then to go here, like, it can't just be x, it has to be like something times x, because you want 5x squared instead of x squared. So you need two numbers out front that'll multiply out to 5, and your only choices are 1 and 5. So it's either going to be like 5x plus 5 with and then 1x, or perhaps it could have been x plus 5 and 5x plus 2. There's no way to really know without thinking it through and trying it out. But you do this and you test it out. So what does it mean to test it out? You're really just multiplying it out. So you get 5x squared. And the middle term is going to be 5 times x plus 2 times 5x. That's 5x plus 10x. And then the final term, of course, has to be 10. So that gives us, oops, move that paper up. So that gives us 5x squared plus 15x plus 10. So that means that this way is a totally fine answer. And this way is a totally fine answer. And how are they related? Well, if you take 5 times and distribute it to the x plus 1, you'll get 5x plus 5 times x plus 2. And that's what you've got here. So it's like magic that works out. On the other hand, you could have, thinking about that a little bit more, you could have said, you could have distributed the 5 onto the x plus 2 instead of the x plus 1. And that's valid. That's okay. And if you do that, you get something like x plus 1 times 5x plus 10. So see, like where I'm getting this 5x plus 10 is I'm taking this 5 and multiplying it onto the x plus 2 to give me 5x plus 10. So any one of these three could have been an answer to the problem. They all give you the same thing when you FOIL them out or multiply them out. So yeah, it's true when you're factoring, you can absolutely get lots of different answers when you're, lots of answers that appear different when you're working through it. Any questions or anything on that? So then let's give you another problem to work on. So let's look at the following problem. Morning, Lila. So let's look at the following problem. So let's say we've got, let's say we've got 4z squared plus 4z minus 3. So let's factor that. And so I'll ask you to have your own pencil and paper, and I'll ask you to work on this for a little bit. But remember, you need to pick two numbers for here and here that multiply to -1. And you'll need to pick two numbers for here and here that multiply to 4. So try out a few things. Like I'll give you some examples. So like you could pick -1 and 3, and you could pick like 4z and z, like as an example. So now you've got two terms, -3 times 1 will go to -3, 4z times z will go to 4z squared. Is the middle term going to be correct though? I don't know, like you might have to switch the numbers around. But that's the game that we're playing. So take a minute or two. Morning, Remy. So take a minute or two and work on that, and then we'll come back and discuss. So, morning, Raphael. We're working on this problem that's displayed on the screen. So after letting you work for a minute, well, first let's just check out the first thing I wrote down. Like, is this an answer to the problem or not? So you multiply this out and you say this is 4z squared from these two terms minus z plus 3 times 4z and then minus 3. So like we knew, you're definitely going to get 4z squared here and you're going to get minus 3 there. But that middle term just becomes 12z minus z, which is 11z minus 3. And of course, 11z is not equal to 4 times z. So this is not the factorization we're looking for. So we've got to do something else. We've got to choose numbers that will somehow give us 4 times z. Did anybody figure it out? Do you want to save me the effort of trying to go through it and show me what answer you got?
I got 2z plus 3 and 2z minus 1.
So 2z plus 3, 2z minus 1. And you've noticed you've chosen numbers still, so that the last two multiply out to -3 and the first two multiply out to 4. So yeah, that makes sense to me. There's a number of things you can do when your first guess doesn't quite work out. Like you could switch these two. You could switch the -3 and the 1, or like you could switch the 4 to the other side. And if that doesn't work, you might say, well, instead of using 4 and 1, I might try 2 and 2. And the reason why I think choosing 2 and 2 might be a good idea is because like when I had 4 and 1, like this middle term got too big because of the 3 times 4. So maybe just having like 1 times 2, negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, and 2 times 3 is 6z. You can already see it's going to work out because you're going to get 6z minus 2z for the middle term, which is equal to 4z. So thank you, Max, for that contribution. And we'll multiply it out to see that it works out. So 2z times 2z is 4z squared plus 6 times z minus 2 times z from these two, the outside, the O part of FOIL, and then the last term is just 3 times negative 1. Putting it all together to get 4z squared plus 4z minus 3. So this factorization is the one that we're looking for. So there's a little bit of anxiety built into this process because you're almost guaranteed to not land on the right factorization with the first thing that you try. But keep thinking it through, testing out the options, and you'll get it. Let's do some more stuff. Let's try 18v squareds minus 15v minus 18. So on your own paper individually, please take a minute and try and factor this expression. Remember, you're looking for two numbers that are going to multiply out to negative 18 and two more numbers that will also multiply out to positive 18. So give it a moment. Okay, so let's talk it through. So this one, I've got things that multiply to negative 18 and things that multiply to positive 18. So possible, sort of maybe like write down a list of possible factors. So for 18, we could do 1 and 18, which is maybe less likely to work. We could do 2 and 9. We could do 3 and 6. So those are the things that we can play with to get positive 18. For negative 18, just make one of them negative. So I usually like to start with these medium-sized factors first, where the two numbers are closest together, and see what I can do. And the middle term being negative 15, makes me hopeful, because maybe it's like 3 times 6 is 18, and then minus 3 gives me negative 15. And so I'll just try out something. So I'll try out first thing I pick, maybe 6 times v minus 3, and then maybe 3 times v plus 6. So you see what I'm doing here. Like I've picked 6 and 3, because if I multiply them out, I'll get 18v squared. And I picked out 6 and negative 3, because when I multiply these two for the constant, I'll get negative 18. So let's check this out and see what happens. So 6v times 3v is 18v squared, and then negative 3 times 3v is minus 9v. 6 times 6v is 36v. And then 6 times negative 3 is minus 18. So collecting the middle term. 36 minus 9, that's plus 27v minus 18. So this factorization is not going to work for me, because my middle term is 27 instead of being negative 15. So there's a little bit of frustration there. This middle term is way too big because of the 6 times 6v. So that's making me think that they probably can't both be 3 and 6. So maybe I need to change one of them to 2, 9 as my second choice. And if that doesn't work, then I can go to like 1 and 18. At this point, I'll take a hint from the class. If you want to save me from doing lots more guess and check, did you get an answer you'd like me to try?
Yeah, I got lucky and got it on the first try somehow. So I got 9z plus 6 and 2z minus 3.
Sounds good. So 9z plus 6 and 2z minus 3. And did you have intuition that was like leading you towards those numbers, or was it just like a...
Yeah, I just guessed.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good guess. And so let's check it through. So you've picked two numbers, 9 and 2, that multiply out, and then two numbers that multiply out. So let's see it. So 9z times 2z, 18z squared, and then 6 times 2z, 12z. And then negative 3 times 9 is going to be 27z. So 12z minus 27z, definitely that's going to give us minus 15z minus 18. So the negative 15 came from 27 minus 12. So if you can recognize initially that negative 15 is 27 minus 12, you can say, oh, okay, that's like 3 times 9 minus 6 times 2. And then that can give you a hint that, oh yeah, like I probably just need to choose like 3, 6, 2, 9. Of course, it's hard to recognize that in the beginning. So really, I think probably like guessing and checking is the best answer. And I think there's other ways you could maybe do this too. Like if you picked, like, let's try something else. Like if you pick 6v minus 9, let's like out of curiosity, let's see if we can do another factorization. Good morning, Neela. See if we can do another factorization. And let's take, so this is going to be 6v times 3v equals 18 v squared. Why did I switch to z here for some reason? That's weird. Those all should have been v's. So 6v times 3v is 18v. 3v times negative 9 is minus 27v. And then 2 times 6v is 12v minus 18. So it works out. So it works out again. So that's interesting. There's at least 2 ways to do this, and maybe there are even more. Okay. Let's try another one. For this one, let's do negative 15w squared minus w plus 28. So continuing the game, 2 numbers that multiply out to 28 and 2 numbers that multiply to negative 15. So the numbers that multiply to 28 would go here. Numbers that multiply to negative 15 go there. So make your initial choices, try a few options, and we'll meet back up in a minute and discuss. So I don't know how you felt, but for me, I struggled a little bit on the first two. I didn't have a good intuition. For this one, I was feeling a little bit better because I was thinking, 28, what are my options? 7 times 4, 28. Yeah, so 7 times 4 is 28. So, and what about negative 15? So the first thing I think of is 3 and 5, or like negative 5 and 3. And what about this middle term? So I was trying to take my advice from the last problem, and I was thinking, well, the negative 1 in front of the W, like what are ways that I can get negative 1 from like multiplying 7 and 3, or 7 and 5, and multiplying like 4 and 5, or 4 and 3. And I was thinking, well, 21, like negative 1 is like negative 21 plus 20. And that made me think this is like minus 7 times 3, and that's like 4 times 5. So these are all factors that go here or there. So what I mean is, I thought, okay, so I can pick maybe 5W and minus 3W. And maybe I can fill in numbers here that'll make that middle term like look like this. So trying this out with scaffolding now, let's give you 30 more seconds. Can you fill in two numbers, and that will complete the factorization to give the middle term negative 1. Okay, so anybody want to volunteer, like which numbers you picked to go in?
I don't know if it's right, but I got 5W minus 7 and negative 3W minus 4.
4. So yeah, we can check it out. So let's take 5W times minus 3W equals negative 15W squared, and then negative 3W times negative 7, giving us plus 21W. And then negative 4 times 5w giving us minus 20w, and then negative 4, negative 7 giving us 28. So we're almost there because we get 21 minus 20. So you get minus 15w squared plus w plus 28. So you're almost there. So you've got plus w, and you want to find a way, can we rearrange this to get to negative w? But now you see like what I was saying, because like you've got 21 minus 20. And can you rearrange that to 21 to negative 21 plus 20 to switch those negative signs? So where did this 21 minus 20 come from? It came from negative 3 times negative 7, and it came from negative 4 times 5. So searching for maybe we can just change one minus sign and get it out. So for searching for negative 21, I'm seeing maybe plus 7, because now the 7 times negative 3 would have to give me that. And for searching for plus 20, I'm thinking 4 over here, because then that'll be 4 times 5. So it's really close. I think you just needed 7 and 4 instead of negative 7 and 4. And we'll check this out. So negative 15 minus 21 w plus 20 w plus 28. Collecting those middle terms, giving us minus w. So it's starting to work out. So it's an interesting game that you can play. Like, how do you choose these factors? Definitely, it's a combination of just guessing, seeing what you get, and then reworking. Let's do one more. Let's try minus 4c squared plus 19c plus 5. And I'll give you a minute to work on that first. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply out to 5. So that has to be 1 and 5. So your answer is definitely going to be either 5 and 1 or 1 and 5. And you have to figure out what numbers to put here. And there, it'll be two numbers that multiply out to negative 4. So take a minute or two and work on that, and then we'll come back and discuss. Okay, after giving you a minute to think, let's talk it through. So for the stuff that goes in front of C, like basically your options are, like you could choose 2 and -2. You could choose -1 and 4, or 4 and -1. So how are you going to get it? You've got to somehow pick numbers that can give you 19. And like 19 is a pretty big number compared to the factors of 4 and 5. So how am I going to get that? Well, I'm thinking that if I can do 20 minus 1, that'll give me 19. And the one way I can get 20 is to just go 4C and then plus 5, because the 5 times 4C is going to give me 20. And then how do I subtract 1 from that? Well, if I just do minus 1, then you can see I'm going to get 5 times 4C is 20C. I'm going to get -1 times C, giving me 20C minus 1C equals 19. So this should work out. You can test it. You'll get 4C times C is 4C squared. So actually this this doesn't work out because I should have picked like some numbers that multiplied to -4. But I'll keep doing I'll keep multiplying it out and then fix my mistake. And then minus C, and then 5 times 4C is 20 times C, and then 5 times -1 is minus 5. So like collect those terms, get 4C squared plus 19C minus 5. So like you can see I'm almost there, but it's a little messed up because I've got minus 5 instead of plus 5, and I've got 4C squared instead of minus 4C squared. So it looks like I need some help from the class. Can anyone step in and maybe like fix my mistake, or what did you get to make that work out?
Maybe -C plus 5.
Yeah, give it a try. So certainly this will give us 4C times -C is -4C squared. And then the middle terms, I get -1 times -C is plus C, and then 5 times 4C, and then 5 times -1. So I think I did that right. And this way I get 21C minus 5. So now these two are fixed because I finally got -4C and -5. But now I've got 21C, but I'd like 19C. So we need to make 1 or 2 more fixes.
I got it to negative 19 by doing 4c minus 1 and negative c minus 5. But
4c minus 1, negative c minus 5. Yeah. And then, yeah, but then we still end up with the plus 5, right? That's interesting. I feel like we might have to move to like 2c and 2c, but it's hard to imagine how we could get 19 as the middle term out of that. Unless you just did it here. Wait, let's multiply this out more carefully. So minus 4c squared minus 1 times minus c is plus c, and then negative 5 times 4c is minus 20c, and then I think you got it right. And then negative 1 times negative 5 is plus 5 minus 4c squared minus 19c. Oh, I see, but it should have been plus c, plus 19c. Yeah, that's frustrating. That's really close. So to recap, we're just trying to factor this expression, and we're trying a few different options, and we're not quite there. But the end of class is upon us, so what we can do is let's take a day and let's just make this the homework for tomorrow. Please factor this. Take a picture of your factorization and work out the steps to show that it's correct. And you can submit that to Google Classroom. I'll put an assignment up right now. And then we'll meet back tomorrow and continue on. So thank you, everybody. Just factor this expression for tomorrow. And we've tried some options, but you can keep thinking it through. There's only a few left. Surely one of them has to be right. And we'll discuss what's going on tomorrow. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.